So hello and welcome to another session on drawing, product drawing, or drawing fundamentals, I would say. And sorry, I apologize for a slight delay because I was finishing another session before this. So it just went over time by a few minutes. But thank you for patiently waiting for this session as well. So without wasting any further time, so let's get into this. Okay, so you must have seen the topics. Today's topic is product design. आपको लग रहा हो कि product design हमने पिछले सेशन में भी किया था, शिवाश ने बताया था, तो आज product design में ऐसा अलग क्या होने वाला है? So आज के सेशन में मुझे बहुत क्वेश्चंस आते हैं स्टूडेंट्स के, ये पूछते हैं मेरे से कि हम क्रिएटिविटी कैसे हम अपनी एनहांस करें, क्रिएटिविटी कैसे बनाएं, और नॉट ओनली विद स्पेसिफिक टू प्रोडक्ट डिजाइन बट टू एनीथिंग। लेकिन आज मैं क्रिएटिविटी में बात करूंगा प्रोडक्ट डिजाइन के पर्सपेक्टिव से। ओके, सो if you have any questions, you can always also type on the chat box, and I'll answer along with the session as well. Okay. So आज के सेशन में मैं क्रिएटिविटी के बारे में बात करूंगा, एंड आने वाले सेशंस में सो मैंने पिछले वाले सेशन में भी कहा, इस पहले सेशन में बताया कि क्योंकि अभी जब NID और अभी आपका IIT का भी डिजाइन का डेट, एग्जाम का डेट निकल चुका है, so 5th and 19th January respectively, I believe. So we have roughly about 3 months and 3.5 months for okay, so we already got some questions related to creativity. Yes, okay, so someone said please explain in English. Okay, so I'll continue the conversation in English. So as I was saying that since exam date is now announced for both NID and IIT, UCED and CED, and bachelor's and master's in NID. So from now on, in fact, from previous session onwards, we decided to have these sessions, Saturday session, like alternate ways. Alternate means that means one Saturday Yash will take the session, and the next Saturday I'll take the session. Okay. It is basically to cover up as much topic or revision you can say in through the practicing questions. So applying whatever we learned in around almost, I think, now 2 months now we have started this lesson, OLP live session. So whatever we have learned so far, the fundamentals, how do we apply it to this practice question? Because now it's not the time to learn these fundamentals, but basically try these fundamentals of drawings into actual questions. Okay. So we may not necessarily solve previous year questions, but type of questions which are asked in design exam, because normally, usually the questions which are asked in the previous year's questions are not repeated. So they're basically given in a new format, a new pattern, but the core content or the purpose of that questions remains same, more or less 90%. Okay, but we can still say that we cannot be sure that the same type of question or same pattern topic questions or which were asked last year would be repeated again this year. So that cannot be, we can say it with full guarantee, full assurance, but we need to prepare for whatever is given or asked in the question. So today's session is going to be all about that. How to prepare yourself. So as someone like has asked that, is not able to think in a structured way, right? Okay, so that structure I'm going to give you today. I hope it helps you. You can apply it to it, right? So today, so I'm going to talk about creativity specifically in product design. Okay, so how do we design a product, or as the question is asked in NID, or NIT might be asked in terms of creativity also, but with respect to product design. Okay. So for that, so I'm going to give a structure. So you can take this photo of that structure. I'm going to share the screen with you. So I made this structure, and I'll explain this structure while drawing. So what is my thought process and how you can develop that thought process. Okay. It's very easy. There are a lot of things that 15 to 20 factors regarding designing, but I have just narrowed it down, which is sufficient enough for product design, which is asked from the exam perspective. So please do not think that this is like complete product design course or lesson. No, it is from the perspective of exam. Okay, so before we go into drawing, so we have another question that material and more description, product and product design you see. So description of product as in it is basically explaining your design. So material, yes, you can name the material, but I do not believe that. I'm not sure because I was going through the information brochure of the UC pattern. So they have specifically mentioned the question pattern, what part B will consist of. So in part B, you will have two questions in UC. One is your sketching. So it is, they could ask you anything to sketch. They specifically mentioned, right? Could be products, could be people, could be composition, could be a scene, situation. So that's the one part, sketching with the sketching question that will come. So this time, even product design could come in sketching as well. Okay, so we have to be prepared. So that's why I prepared this structure to be prepared for anything what is thrown, whatever will be thrown at you. And second question is more about problem solving in situation and oblique a product. If you see the information also, and in certain situations on a product, that means you have to solve a problem in particular situation or in a product using design. So that is more of a design aptitude. Okay. But first part of this question is sketching. So sketching, that is, they can ask you to draw people, only people. Okay. So that means they'll also be might ask to draw in proportion to something, right? In a spatial space. So we'll cover all those in later sessions as well. Second thing too, they might ask you to draw interaction between a product and a person or product in a particular scenario. For example, drawing of a furniture in an interior of an office or for living room, something that kind of interrelationship. Or could be altogether like a sketch, which we usually they're asking NID. For example, last year they asked, I believe that Mr. Singh one zoo वाला जो question पूछा था, तो एक scenario होगा जिसमें एक human figure draw करना है, तो वो भी पूछा, that could be also asked, right? So we'll cover all those in upcoming sessions. Don't worry about it. So in today, especially I'm talking about product design. Okay. So let me just share this. So I made a brief, a short brief, which says, and we'll use that example. Okay. So I hope the screen is visible to you. Okay. So here in this, okay, so another question, do we get any rough sheet? Yes, you do get rough space to work. You at the bottom of all the questions. So there are some few pages, some space given to do your rough work. Yes, rough space is given in the answer sheet itself. Okay. Okay. So now, so there's a brief called design a sharpener for the 6-year-old children. So this is a question of a design aptitude. It is related to design aptitude. Now, so I made some observations in this that, so what could be the design process or thinking behind before we design something? Okay. So here, first of all, we need to understand the user. So here our user is a 6-year-old children. Okay. ये हमारा user है. So this is very, very important. Okay. Okay. Can you share this document? I think it won't be possible to share on the YouTube, but you can take the snapshot or you can take a photo of this. Okay. So I'll keep this for a while explaining, so we can have enough time to take the photo of the document itself. Okay. So anyways, getting back to our user is a 6-year-old children. Okay. Now, before you design something, so there are some key considerations you need to take. So in this case, so I took four considerations, key considerations: functionality, safety, durability, and aesthetics. Okay. Now this will differ from user to user. Okay. It is not for everyone. It will depend upon the user as well. So ये key considerations will change according to the user also. Okay. Now based on that, I further expanded. Okay, so safety. So what kind of safety feature do I want to put into my design? So here, safety, that means no exposed blades. That means the blade should not be like an open kind of where children of that age accidentally might touch it and get cut their finger or something. That could be very injurious. Okay, that means that blade should be hidden or semi-hidden, so where that the fingers of the children cannot access that blade, and it should be pencil should be inserted easily without requiring too much force, because too much force also can hurt, put too much strain on the finger, on the hand also. So that means ease of use I'm talking about while using that product. Second is ergonomics. Okay, so second is ergonomics. So since again these are key considerations, we are talking about considerations here. The child's hands are small, a child's hand is small. So that means the form of the sharpener should not be that big that they're not able to, hold it, have a strong grip around it. So that means, so that it should be easy to grip and operate without excessive strain. That means, which again will not lead to this use of requiring too much of force. Okay, otherwise, if the grip is not convenient, that means too much force will be required. Okay, so that means the safety feature that means we are not following. Right? Now coming to the third one, the third one is engagement. Now this is again very important. Now this is specific to these children. So if you speak about 6-year-old children, so what is that thing that, how do they perceive objects? So they perceive objects as, fun, playful, interesting. They're attracted to colors, some design, some graphics, some form, like a which appears very aesthetically very pleasing. So that kind of engagement. Other thing is that something playful. So inputting some sort of playfulness, interactive elements in that design, where that it does not only act as a product, but also maybe a product which can be used in a fun way, like a toy kind of thing. Okay, so should be visually appealing, fun, and imaginative to keep the child engaged, right? Otherwise, what will happen is that it will just appear very boring, kind of mundane. So like bright colors, playful themes, or interactive elements can be integrated into that design, right? Okay, so these are the key considerations. There were many, but I just shortlisted to few one very important one. Now coming to the design process. Okay, so here, since we're in the beginning, I said we are talking about the user. So first thing we need to understand is the user. Okay, so we have a question, and I'll just answer that question. Is it okay to add modification based on real life character, example, Mickey Mouse, except for aesthetic? Yes, definitely. You can add modification. Definitely you can add maybe some cartoon character inspired. Definitely you can add that. Okay. Okay. So coming to understanding children's preferences. Okay. So what are the preferences? They're often drawn to bright colors, playful characters, and interactive features. Okay. Now, what does this do? So this is also an important part of that design. So their motor skills are still developing at that age, between the age of 4 years to 7-8 years. Okay, so that's the time where they're still refining their motor skills. So they need simple, clear interaction points. So that means here now I understand that before I go even to form and shape, I understand that I cannot make a design which is very complicated in physical sense also. Otherwise, that 6-year-old will not be able to operate it. Now coming to the theme. So what kind of theme could be applied to design? So it came up with three themes. It could be inspired from nature, space, could be animal kind of shape, or something fantasy. Fantasy again, like a superheroes kind of thing that can be applied kind of. Okay. So you can explore this to infuse creativity into that design. So something creatively can make something out of it. So now we come to the form and shape. So here, since I said that just a while ago, I cannot make the shape or form very complicated. So it needs to be soft. So here soft means we can also talk about the material. So soft like a maybe has some like hard plastic, but very round, smooth surface, a round form, which are easy for child to hold and play with it, right? And we can also use for creative shapes, like something like an animal shape, as you mentioned. Okay, some space inspired from nature, from fantasy, like spaceship or vehicle. So this can be also applied because all these kind of things attract children a lot, right? And for texture, I added texture so for better grip. So for example, smooth body and but texture sides, soft silicon details for grip. Because what will happen if it's a complete smooth surface, it might happen that वो हाथ से slip कर जाएगा कि नीचे गिर जाएगा. Okay, obviously you want to hold it and lift and hold it, so it might slip. So you need a good grip also, right? So, and other thing is that because when we sharpen a pencil, so the shaving, the peels of the sharpener, the wooden part, that shavings come out, so also need to have a compartment where all be collected, which is easy to empty by the children, will be easy for child to open and empty. So for this, I thought of a design where you can click and lock system or magnetic closure kind of thing can be done. So, so is it important that sharpener hand hold ho? Yes, it can be also. And if you can also design something which is not necessary to hold it as well. It depends upon your design. So how you want to design. Okay, it's not. So see, one thing I would like to address here is that it doesn't have, when you design a product, it doesn't have to be, like there's a thumb of rule that your product should be only handheld. It could be also maybe fixed somewhere. It could be mounted on the wall also. Could be like mounted on the placed on permanently on the desk also. Could be that as well. So the placement, the arrangement, or use of that product in different scenarios can be implemented. It's not necessary that it has to be handled. That is not necessary. That is where I think can be more creative, I believe. Okay, so English shading and compartment to keep store the peels of the pencil. Okay. Now here, so these are the design process and key considerations which I'm going to use as a reference. Now, now it may seem lot of information to process, and you might say that in that much amount of time, how would we be able to think of so much information? Yes, I understand it is not easy to process or do research, but these kind of practice you should start implementing now on whenever you do product design. Okay, so I'm giving you a template kind of thing where you are actually able to apply this in different scenario. You can not necessarily design a sharpener, design something else, and take this key considerations. So what are the key considerations according to that products? What would be the design process? All this thing you can apply those same template in different product scenarios. The only thing the content will be different. Okay, so here I thought of some design. So as we are talking about some nature, or I forgot to add some organic form also. So I thought of 3 ideas. Maybe you could design something which is inspired from egg shape, maybe some from animal, panda. So why panda, or not necessarily that's only panda, could be elephant, could be giraffe, because animals also is very important to choose. Those animals which doesn't come across as very scary, or will like scare the children. They should come across as a animal which is very loving in aesthetics. Obviously, we can't say that all animals are harmless, but they are harmful in some way or the other. But in here we are talking about in the aesthetics aesthetic perspective. Okay, so or maybe like a rocket, these kind of things, spaceship or rocket also appeals to children a lot. So here we just need to translate this form and convert into a product. ये चीज करना है मुझे इसको. ठीक है? So I'm going to just leave for few seconds. Okay, this brief, and you can just take a picture of it, and you can then use this as a template to apply to other product design. Then we'll get to drawing. So I'll just leave it for around 5 to 10 seconds. And if you have taken the picture and everything, just let me know in the chat and we'll just proceed. And also, if you have not understood anything from this in this brief, please do write in the chat. So I'll answer them while we are doing it, I'll do the demo. Okay. So अगर कुछ बात इसमें समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि what does that mean, I'll explain that also. So try to clarify your doubts as much as possible. Did it? Okay, good. Okay, so the inspiration part. So these are inspiration. Okay, so these are inspiration part. All these images are inspiration parts. Okay, and and these key considered in design we call keywords. These are called keywords. Okay, that means your design is revolving around these keywords. So ये key considerations हैं. So this is called keywords. So there are two things important: keywords and inspiration. So inspiration is basically हमेशा आपका एक visual image होता है. So what are the visuals? Okay, right? Okay, so now everyone is taking it. Okay, so now we'll get back to drawing. Okay. So here, so someone asked, the second question someone had asked that, so what is the structure way? So this is structure. Now, how do we apply it in drawing? Okay, I'll talk about. So here I'm specifically talking about creativity. Okay, I'm going to talk about creativity, about design. So I'll not make a design which is like a fully product design kind of thing, but I'll talk about more of a creative, because I think the creativity block a lot of students face. Okay, so let me switch over to the other camera and we'll get to sketching. Okay. So here, so just give me a second. I'll just sharpen the pencil and we'll get to drawing now. So what I'll do is that I'll keep the document also open somewhere so I can see it. Okay, so for my reference and referring to that document, I will just now talk about the creative process as well. Okay. So here now, as I told, I will specifically going to talk about creativity. So how to be creative? So when we design something, now we have a structure. Now, how do we use this structure to design? Okay, so where do we start? So where do we start? That's important. I think that is where a lot of students do get stuck. And okay. Okay, great. Yeah. So that's a creativity block which we have. So we always start with rough iterations of rough ideas. So as someone asked that, do we get a space for rough work? Yes, you do get. So we do always start with a rough space. Okay. So I'm at the same time, before I think of some ideas, so again, I'm just referring to the structure which I have made. Okay. So here, because colors is not allowed in UCT exam or NID exam, so I'm going to neglect that factor, bright colors. We're talking about interactive features, form and shape, and some maybe theme based. So I'm going to pick these three topics. Okay. And also, I'm not going to follow the entire structure word to word, because in the design process, what happens is that sometimes you feel that, okay, maybe on the three factors, your design is there. So you need not, incorporate all the factors. Yes, definitely the key consideration need to be input in your design. Okay. So here, I'm thinking of choosing a form, very simple shape. Okay, so before we do that, so I'll talk about creativity. Okay, so how do we become more creative? So this practice you can do before actually doing product design. So I'm going to take an example of egg only here. So we have a egg form. So not a perfect egg, perfect egg. So somewhere close to it. somewhere like an eggshell, not a perfect eggshell. So whenever we take inspiration or choose an inspiration for a design, now how many products or ideas can you think of which I can modify through making modification or adding? Okay, so what are the like simple products which you can think of? You can write in the chat box. Okay. So what are the ideas I can think of which I can make? Less than everyday project, sorry, not project, product only. So what are the ideas can come to our mind? So apart from sharpener, so you can write it in the chat box. Okay, not a fruit or something like that, but maybe something more of a product, I would say. Because not fruit, something a product. When it means you can transform this into some other shape also. Okay, so you can transform to other shape as well. Okay, so making a strawberry design sharpener. Okay, maybe a car. Okay, yes, maybe a car can be made. Okay, something more a bit simple to execute. Not maybe a okay, yes, good. So baby oil lotion bottle, yes, that can be done, right? Yeah, something very simple. A car will be a bit more complex. Right? So let's take uh, earphone case. Yes, okay. Earbud case, okay. Nice. Yeah, very simple game, right? So, so you see, so when you look at a form, first explore. So what are the ideas? So someone said that we can make a lotion bottle. Someone saying that we can make a earbud case. Okay. Okay, so something which is not which is like a gender centric. Okay, someone is saying we can make a mouse. Okay, right? And someone is saying maybe a character which is not gender but both for boys and girls. Okay, and what other so alien spaceship again will become okay. Alarm clock. Someone says alarm clock, right? Okay. Again, alien spaceship again will be a very complex form. So something very simple. Keep it very simple. So I'm giving an opportunity to explore. Just one more, then we'll talk about design. Just one more idea, very simple. Everyday product, everyday product. There's one in my mind. Microphone, okay. Yes, why not? Microphone, okay. Showcase, nice. Table lamp. Yes, showcase, table lamp. Okay. So I have one. So I have this salt and pepper shaker. Okay. So now you see, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we got 9 ideas, right? Okay, maybe a bag also. Yes, we can make a bag. Let's add this. Let's make it 10, round it off to 10. Now you see that we have 10 ideas. So it is that you are the one who explored this idea, right? So whenever you do an approach to this product design, think of all the exploration. So this process is called exploration. A better terminology is called ideations. And the reason why this mental block happens or creativity block why this happens is that at most times, what we do is that when we look at a question, we immediately start thinking about design in a very detailed way. So where do we start? Okay, so I think in one of the sessions I had mentioned that. So I'll just reiterate that again. So what should be the approach? So when you have to draw, so this is drawing approach in design. First, you need to define a form, obviously, which caters to the needs of the user. So in this case, in our case, that means the form has to be very simple. Should not be complicated because we are designing for small children. Form. Okay. Then function. So how that product will operate or work? What functionality should it have? Again, which is again cater to the user. And lastly, last one is your details. So this is the second structure you can add to that existing one. This is the drawing approach. Okay, this is the drawing approach, design approach, I will say, design drawing approach. So design creativity approach, you can say that. So first we need to, decide the form. Okay, so when you're designing, what we focus, I see a lot of students is that they focus on the details first. They go into details. Like उसमें ऐसा कुछ ये ऐसा button होगा, there'll be like LED light, or there'll be like this, or there'll be XYZ things, but they don't understand or don't comprehend that how this details is actually complementing the form and complement the function as well, right? Because in case of physical product, in case of these are all physical product. So here you need to understand is that a physical product, there's an interaction. So between all this, so there is an interaction. So this is a physical interaction with the user. So when this physical interaction is happening, if this interaction is not pleasant, is very unpleasant, if this is unpleasant, then no matter how much details you put, how much aesthetically you make it as pleasing as possible, how beautiful or good looking you make, the user experience of this user with that product is always going to be a bad experience. Okay. So rather than concentrating on details, so how do we make sure that this experience is pleasant? The first contact of the user with this product is your physical interaction. Even in interface also, your smartphone. So this interface also is a user experience. Okay. So that is why the physical interaction is the first one. Now this physical interaction can be digital, and or physical, which is in this case of these products, the list of products which we made. Okay. Physical, digital, or physical. So here we're talking about physical. So physical may one of the most important factor is your form. It should be easy to hold, easy to use, or easy to grab or hold it if it's a handheld product, if you're talking about. So it should be easy. So for example, this mouse is a very good example. So if I'm operating this mouse, it should be easy for my hand to hold this mouse and maneuver it, move it wherever I want. So that all largely depends upon the form of the mouse. So the reason being that all these round surfaces is basically because my point of physical interaction, the physical interaction, this is very important, it has to be very pleasant. There are no sharp corners. It's very smooth, not sharp edges. So my point of contact when I'm using this mouse is going to be around this point here. And if you touch your palm, you see that this part here is very soft. It's like a cushion if you touch this part. So the part of your body which is very soft, when you press against a hard object, it is going to reflect. Okay. So you're going to reflect it. That force is going to reflect it back onto your hand. So that is why when you hold a pencil for very long durations, sometimes depending on the design, you see after a time the tip of the finger like this becomes red, because this is a hard surface and this is a soft portion. Okay, so that is why then it starts fading after some time. So similarly here in design here in this, so the point of contact is very important. That's why I said that physical interaction is very, very important. Okay. So this is the thing. All right. Okay. So now coming to the design here. So we'll talk about the product itself. So here I'm going to choose this egg as a design for the sharpener. Okay. Now, so first we also need to understand. So we're only talking about sharpener. So what are the two things we important for the sharpener? So one is your sharpening area, that is your blades, and a space to store your shavings, or you can say peels. Okay, right. So we need some space for this, right? So I'm just going to make a rough iterations of ideas. So the sharpener. So I'm going to have this reference in front of me. So I can also make in this also where should be the uh, uh, this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this egg into, so I'm going to divide like this. I'm going to make a stylized kind of line. So there are two different sections. Okay. And maybe I have a hole like this here. Okay, so this is the where the pencil will go into this. So that means the blade will be here, somewhere here, past here. Yes. And so the peels will come like this. Fall into this surface here. So this is a hollow area. Okay, so all the peel shavings will be here. So very simple design. Then other idea I had that maybe make the uh, have this sharpener as a maybe an electric one. Okay, so electric one. Okay, and so there's a battery area at the back. So there's a blade also. There's a mechanical kind of thing. You can do also maybe add a wire or something like that. Maybe it's like the battery is rechargeable. Yeah. So we're going to make us rough iterations. Okay, so let me see. I'm going to make it in 3D for me because you need to understand the form. And also other thing is that when you talk about a form inspiration, doesn't have to be exactly like an X shape only. You can also modify the form also. So the center, let's push the center line here. Shape is like this. And when you're designing, just just keep drawing. Don't like think, okay, now I'll, oh, I need to add this, I need to add that. Just, just, just draw. Because along drawing, when you're designing, so you'll get some ideas. Okay. So I want to integrate this. So let's make like an electric sharpener. Okay. So as I said, the details will be last. First is the form. Okay. So let me see that. So this section. So do I want to keep this kind of section? So how will it be in 3D? I can okay, maybe do like this. Section. So I can use a different pencil. Integrate with this form of the egg. And so put the pencil. Okay, so let's make the hole. So now basically we got a form. Okay, so we got a form, so which is like almost like an egg shape. So refine it bit. Okay. Now here, so let's make it like a. So as I said, we'll make it like tick sharpener. Let's make it a bit flat here, so that it rests. So I'm going to keep the design as simple as possible because as I mentioned in the brief also, so easy to access. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to put this part, the upper part, semi-transparent. This is like a plastic, and this is more of a hard plastic, a matte surface. Okay. So this is like a semi-transparent. So just if you want, if you can show the mechanism inside. But if you go and if you want to show the mechanisms, and then it'll be too detailed. Right? Obviously, you can make a separate illustration for that. So here just I'm talking about the form generation and creativity. Now we have the basic form. now I can now do like in design wise, whatever I want to do, I can add details and everything what I want. Okay. So second part is so now the safety part of the blade is inside. So I'm not going to draw the blade or something like that. Okay. And the second thing is that it should be easy to hold, right? It's easy to hold. So what I'm going to do is that, so I'm going to make a texture pattern, which will be of rubber, which will be made of rubber on the side. So you'll hold the sharpener like this. The child can hold it like this if you want to hold it in hand. Okay, so that part will be here. So, so again, following the form. Now I'm just adding details. So this can be considered as a detail. Okay, so this part will be rubber. So so this will be like raised dots. It's not necessary that you have to make raised dots. You can make any pattern. So like the pattern which you see on, if someone rides a scooter or bike, you must have seen the pattern on the handle, on the accelerator part, and in fact the other side also. So you have this kind of pattern, right? Because if it's a smooth surface, then it might slip out of your hand. Okay. So this is for grabbing it. So similarly, the same pattern will be on the other side. Okay. Now, so the form is generated. So now how we can make it interactive? Interactive. Okay. So interactive. So I'm thinking of some playful ideas. So what we will do is that, uh, so let's add something. So which opens like a uh, mechanism kind of thing. Uh, let's say that there's a button somewhere here. Or maybe something, not a button. Let's say that. So there's also like a speaker kind of thing. So let's say this is a speaker. Okay. So this is an idea just came into my mind. Speaker. So meaning that, so when you insert the pencil here, so when the pencil is getting sharpened, so maybe like there's some like voice coming out of this, like a child's voice could be like that. Okay. So now here, as I'm sketching, so the idea which initially I had, so while sketching, while making a design, so more ideas started popping in. Okay. So now if you see carefully, this does look like a mouth. Okay. So I thought of idea, why not make it like this whole form like a character? Why not make it like a character? Okay. So let's say this is semi-transparent. Let's make it like an interactive display. Okay. So when the pencil is being sharpened, so let's say that eyes come like this, like a display. Sorry, I'm not expert in drawing character. Okay, so but trying my best to. So what I'm doing is I'm doing little bit of a character to it. So which your children might relate to it. Okay. Okay. So eyes. Okay. So other thing also is that even this section line appears like a smile, right? Okay. So the meaning is that, so what details which you add, if you can somehow make it more functional and also relatable to the user, even the details also will appear as a part of it. It should not appear just as an aesthetic part. Okay. So as I see that, okay, like this curve, which section I made, so this one appears like a smile, it's a wide smile. So meaning that this sharpener also has some emotions. Let's say that. Okay. So not too much details. Okay, not too much details. Okay, so when you insert the pencil, so maybe some kind of different expressions of eyes can come. Okay, so you can show different variations of it. So here you can apply the different facial expressions on this. So like maybe this is like a display kind of thing. Okay, so let's take sharpener. So maybe like let's say this is a wire. Maybe it's a USB chargeable. Okay. So a very simple form. We try to make it obviously means more ideas can be added to it, and that was obviously require more time. Okay, but today's lesson was more about how to make a transition of design creativity. So this is basically about creativity, right? Now these things are more like for details, and अभी तो किसी तरह से भी आप इसको अपने तरीके से represent कर सकते हो वो चीज को. So this is an idea, okay. So here it is more of a like how to get out of the creativity block. So if you see that I follow the steps that I made the form. So made the form, simple shape, easy to hold. So added some function and last details kind of log this. There's some details kind. Obviously means more views need to be drawn to show this design in a much better way. But but I hope you got the idea. Okay. You can do different variations. There's one variation. आप बहुत सारी variations कर सकते हो. You can do a lot of variations. Right? So this is the how you generate ideas. Because product design itself is a very complex process. As I say, I did not go into, okay, so how the speaker will function also. Okay, that's a nice question. Okay, so what you can do is that maybe like there's a, you can add a button here. So when you press this button, so let's say, so it has different options as well. Let's say it's a display like this. So there is some sorry, the perspective is wrong. So what you can do is that maybe there are some different buttons or maybe a dialer or voice activated could be that you can give instructions to the speaker and say that you want to sharpen a pencil. Now, I don't know if you have seen this sharpener where you can make the nib or so the lead of the pencil as you want. You want to make a very pointed one. You can make it like a flat headed, okay, or completely flat head. Okay, so that functionality can be, adjusted here, maybe using this. So maybe all these buttons have different options of that, what kind of nib you want. Okay. And maybe the speaker can. So once it's done, it can give you a feedback that, okay, that pencil is sharpened according to your liking or something like that. I mean, what the sharpener will say, obviously, that we can always be creative about that also. But about functionality, there are a lot of functions can get. So the thing, okay, I'm not saying that this is the best solution or something like that. I'm just giving an idea. So what idea which came to mind? Okay. If I sit down like properly as a product designer, obviously then this design can be done much better. Okay. So, but that was not the point, because in an exam, you will not have time to do a very detailed kind of product drawing, which actually how product designers do. Okay, आपका इतना टाइम होगा ही नहीं कि आप सब कुछ इतना डिटेल करोगे वो चीज को. So, but like how I design is basically when I do this, this is not the final design also. As I said, there are rough iterations of some design. Okay, so maybe this could be one possibility. So when you practice, so you need to design lot of variations. Maybe you can keep the same form and do a lot of variations. Okay, you can remove this speaker function, you can add something else, whatever you like. And out of that, you choose the best design which caters to your structure, which I shown in the session. Right. So this is one idea. This is not the final idea. If I just go back again and try work properly as a product designer, or put my product designer cap, thinking cap, then obviously when I would do something as well. May not have all this, may have something much better option than this. Okay, so I hope you understood the process, how to approach product design, and in later sessions, the future sessions, we'll try to do some complete product, at least one product design, complete product. So alternately, maybe me and Suyash will take some product design questions as well. Okay, and we'll try to solve it completely. But the structure we're going to follow is somewhat similar. Just fewer things will differ from product to product and the user to user. Okay, so I have to understood the process. So what is the process all about? It's all about understanding the process. What are you going to design? And as a last question, has someone asked that, how will the speaker function is that? Okay, so that details part of thing. So if you add in your design something, obviously you'll not be there in personally present with the examiner to explain, right? Okay. So even if you're adding a detail, so basically you do annotation or you explain, right? So here, because I've been giving a demo, so demos I'm able to explain. So what function, how it will work or something. Again, whether it is feasible or not, that's not the point at this point. It is that, okay, so how creatively I'm thinking while I'm designing. Okay. So that's how you approach to design products. So it's not that what idea that comes to your mind, is going to be the first idea that is going to be the best idea. It's not that. Okay, so you always explore on that. So we have a question that we are a beginner, how to start. So can you elaborate on beginner in what sense? Are you a beginner in drawing or you're a beginner in drawing products? So Arushi says that we can turn it into million character. Yes, definitely you can turn into any character which is relatable to the children. Okay. So Dipanjali, if you can elaborate more on that, so in what sense you're talking about a beginner? So is it in drawing or in design or something? So I'll be able to answer it in much better in drawing. Okay, right. Okay. So in drawing, okay, so it's very important to know the fundamentals. Okay, it's very important to know the fundamentals. If you want to start somewhere, rather than starting to draw something complex, start drawing very simple shapes or simple forms, I would say, like cubes, sphere, cones, cylinders, all this kind of shape. Okay. And if you go to the Kaphal Studios YouTube channel, this OLP session, there's a playlist. So I've done the initial sessions, the first 2-3 lessons or 3-4 lessons, all about fundamentals. It's very easy to follow. You just watch those sessions and just try to copy those techniques which I mentioned. So it's not very difficult to master. Just practice them and try to understand what is being done And in later sessions, I've done demos how to apply those principles or fundamentals to drawing products. And similarly, other mentor has applied those fundamentals to draw human figures and composition. Okay. So you can see how the application of those fundamentals is applied in different contexts. Okay. So that is what you can do that. Okay. So here, thanks for joining this session. Okay. And so next session will be taken by Siraj. So another interesting topic we'll have for you, which will be more of a learning for you, especially with the exam perspective. Okay. And so I'll come up with more that in product design, what else can be incorporated, which you can practice in these 3 months. And if the product design question comes in any of the exam, whether NID or IIT, UC or SEED, you can apply to that. Okay. If in these sessions, if there are any master students also who attend this session, so you might have questions regarding form sensitivity or problem identification, visual sensitivity or creativity. We're going to cover up those topics as well. Don't worry. We'll cover those form sensitivity also. I'm going to cover that session, that how to design something from given form, which is given in the question. Okay, so we're going to cover that. So we're going to try to cover as much topics in this month of October, so that you have ample time to practice. Okay. So thank you for joining, and have a nice evening.